Charles Bassey
Mm,
and freaking Dominic Barlow.
yes.
Speaking of a Spurs win this week, they beat the Mavs G League team, the Texas Legends, 131 to like 101.
Were they in
So
Dallas?
no, they were in
Okay,
Austin.
I should have gone to see them.
No, they were in Austin. And anyways, I'm trying to get to the G League. The point is, Charles Bassey had 40 and 16.
Mhm.
And my dude was 2 for 3 from the 3-point line and was pulling up from the mid-range on a couple different buckets. With all of this Jakob trade news, like that's the other thing that kind of legitimizes that smoke to me a little bit. Like I said, it could not be true, but that gives me a little bit more belief that it's possible because of the fact that if we trade him for picks, we can easily just call up Charles Bassey. And I mean, we've
That's
already
it.
seen him play really well on the actual Spurs this year. And he's definitely, I mean, rotation player in the league for sure.
Yes,
No
for
doubt.
sure.
He's just been dominating. The G League also has this what is it called?
Next up game or whatever.
Yes, the next up game. And I don't know if I sent this to you, but Charles
Mhm.
Bassey is 4th in votes for that right now. So, I mean, he's been averaging like 25 and like 12. So it makes sense. But I mean, it's too easy for him down there. He big bodies everybody. He was catching lobs, setting screens, and shooting now. So it's like our man Greg. He was in the comments earlier. Spurs versus everybody was saying on Twitter that it's like he's the Jalen Duren. For all of
Mhm.
us that were asking for him, he's basically that, and he's got a jumper. And I feel like we've kind of unlocked some potential there for sure with the way that the Sixers just let him go. Um, Still just 22 years old. I mean, really, like that could be. It's almost like a rookie. It's like having a
Yeah.
rookie because I mean, obviously, it'd be somebody who played 4 years, but still, um, just a really good find. And I'm excited to see him have a consistent role on the team. If we do move Jakob, just because I feel like his potential has been raised since he's come to San Antonio. Obviously, we're biased, but like the stuff he was doing, he's the stuff he's doing in the G League and the stuff he was doing on the actual Spurs. Obviously, some of it's empty stats, but there's also some wins in there too. He was not doing when he was in Philly. And obviously, he's from San Antonio too, so that could kind of give him a little bit, of extra motivation to, work hard at the second opportunity. Um, but also, I really think his potential, I mean, like, he's more physical than Jakob, straight up. Like, he's got more physical attributes. Obviously, he's not as tall as him, but when it comes to just like strength, he can
Mhm.
do things that Jakob can't do. Like, Jakob's not catching lobs like he is. Also, Jakob's not shooting like he is. Like, I know this sounds crazy, but like watching that game, I know it's the G League and combining some of the stuff that we've seen from him on the actual Spurs, like maybe he has a higher ceiling. That sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy right now because Jakob is so good defensively and he does so much stuff that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. But the point is that Charles Bassey is a very good like fallback option in the
Mhm.
situation the Spurs are in right now because you can bring him back on a cheap contract next year if you end up striking gold and getting Wembanyama. I know it's Wembanyama, but I just like saying Wembanyama because it's fun to say. And it adds a little Texas twang to the end of
Mm.
it,
Yeah.
So we're trying to make sure
Wembanyama.
he's as Texas as possible prior to the draft. Not Houston though. Houston, we do not want Houston to get him. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. We haven't even talked about that, dude. Like, because they're in our division, they're the other team like
Yeah.
down
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
and
It'd be
honestly, they would
horrible.
definitely prefer him over Scoot because they've already got guards.
Yeah. Well, shit. They already got. Sorry. They already got forwards. So
You're
they
good.
would run KPJ, Jalen Green, Jabari Smith at the 3, Wembanyama at the 4, and Alperen Şengün at
Yeah,
the 5.
that's I don't want that for my biggest rival.
That would be horrible.
Yeah.
Um, but what you're saying about Bassey, I mean, I couldn't
Yeah,
have
that
said
got
it
off
better.
tangent, but
Yeah,
yeah.
no, yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. He makes trading Jakob seem a little less like, I don't know, like the team's not going to fall apart necessarily
Right.
because he's continually improved from the start of his season to now. He is clearly more skilled than at least I thought he was going to be. I thought he was
Mhm.
just going to be kind of a really big guy that a little bit clumsy, but he can catch lobs and maybe get a block shot every once in a while. Like that's really what I thought he was going to be because he's been in the G
Mhm.
League his entire career. Um, but he has a low post game. He has improved as a jump shooter. He can be a threat from 3-point land. And defensively, I mean, he goes after everything. He combines the the strengths of Drew Eubanks with a little bit more skill. So like
Right.
blocking shots, being aggressive, throwing your body around, getting dunks, setting great picks. But then also, if you throw it down to him in the block, he's not going to turn the ball over as much as maybe Drew did back in the day. He's not going to, dribble it off his foot a little bit. He has more capabilities at that center position. Um, and then also Zach Collins has continued to improve.
Yep.
He has unlocked a new part of his game this season. So if you want to elevate Zach to that starting spot, trade Jakob for a pick, maybe hopefully 2 picks, bring in Bassey to back him up. We're trying to lose, right? So
Right.
might as well throw him into the fire and see what he can do in the NBA because so far what we've seen has been pretty damn good.
Yeah, and not everybody like dominates in the G League like that
No,
either. Like I
not at
really
all.
think like he may have this sounds crazy, but he may have a higher potential than Zach. Probably does. Just because he's
Yeah.
22. Like that's the I obviously there can be a ceiling on run jump and dunk centers, but he's
Hmm.
developing jumpers, he's developing more skills, which is probably why they like playing him in Austin so much. Um and like I said, he's probably going to be in the G League next up game because of the stuff he's doing down there.